Yo, welcome to another episode of the Culture Controversial Podcast. I'm your host, Simply Nicholas, 1987, and my co-host, Chai H.
What's going on, people? Good to be here.
Hey, for all the new people that subscribe to the channel, y'all definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're still on the road to 200, and our goal is about 37 away, so y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell to be alert when we go live or when I drop content. Um, our co-host, he might be coming in a little bit, but we're gonna rock what we got. You know, talk about a couple topics for today. Um, and shout out to everybody that subscribed to the channel. We are doing another giveaway at 200, so be on the lookout for that. Um, I'm gonna get right into today's topic. As you see on the name of the title, it is called the NFL. That black ball is still rolling. It is rolling. It's rolling faster and faster every week. So, as y'all know, if you hadn't seen, um, Seattle quarterback Russell Wilson is probably going to be out for about, I think it was about 4 to 6 weeks, if I wasn't mistaken, with
Yep.
the shoulder surgery. So they have Geno as a backup, but I'm not bashing Geno because
Geno Smith for those.
yeah, yeah, he's a typical quarterback, uh, right at the mid range level, kind of a little bit below, but that's my opinion. Um, So we know that they're probably working out another quarterback. So as you know, they went and called Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles.
Yeah,
That, that guy, Blake Bortles.
former UCF Knight, played under Coach George O'Leary, former
Hmm.
first round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ended up not panning out in Jacksonville. Kind of bounced around since then. Hasn't really been effective. A guy that you wouldn't expect to be a guy that you wouldn't expect to be a solution for anyone's QB woes. So
Right.
to get to where you're getting at, the fact that Blake Bortles is getting work out, but Cam Newton is not, that lets you know that there's an agenda to make sure that he doesn't get signed.
I agree. I'm 100% with it. And like we talked about, in the messages I was telling you, I was like, so what has Blake Bortles done special that Cam Newton hasn't?
Yeah, I think ain't Nathan Peterman still on the roster with the Raiders too?
Yep.
Like when Nathan Peterman's probably the worst person who's listed at quarterback in the league. So the fact that even a guy like Nathan Peterman is still on the NFL roster and Newton is not on the roster, that's disturbing.
Yeah,
And
it's very disturbing.
and
And
we're even go ahead.
no, I was just saying, and with that, man, I'm like, you, if you, in my opinion, and you probably would agree with this, I feel like if you plug in a Cam Newton where Russell Wilson was at, you really ain't gonna. It's gonna be about the same as far
Well,
as play style.
I think that Wilson probably is a better in recent year as of late, probably more accurate deep ball passer. Newton was a great accurate deep ball passer until he had the shoulder surgery. But from for the most part, I think you could still, if they play complementary football, they could still win games with Newton there if Russell was out versus a Geno Smith or versus a Blake Bortles, because you could run a similar style offense because there's not that much of a talent drop off. You're still talking about a former league MVP, so
Right.
a three-time Pro Bowler, a team that has led a team to the playoffs four times and did so four times in a 5 year span. So we know he can play and can lead a team. When you're talking about Geno Smith, he was a guy who was a starter in the league in the past and did absolutely nothing. Blake Bortles, he did one time get a team to the AFC Championship game, a team that was led by his defense and his running game, and did absolutely nothing since then. So he's had one playoff appearance, I believe, and that was it. And he was carried by the rest of his roster. He played okay that year, but he's a guy that hasn't proven that he can consistently win games with your team week in and week out, year in and year out. So the
Yeah.
when you look at the options, a team like Seattle who runs a lot of offense that has a moving pocket that's designed for a quarterback who can play on the motor, it will make logical sense to have a Newton there if Wilson's going to be out a substantial amount of time. But like you said, I don't think it's about that. I think most of these NFL franchises with these owners, I don't necessarily think it's the coaches. I think it's a lot of these owners. I think these owners rather lose games than to sign Newton. Even if Newton gave them a chance to win, they rather lose games because they just don't like him. And it's a thing where they don't want him around. They don't like his enthusiasm. They don't like his personality. They don't like his dance and his attire and all that. They don't like the attention that comes with him, and they rather just not even give themselves a chance to win before they offer him an opportunity. And it saddens me because it's not like he's a guy that's been involved in any kind of legal troubles or anything like that, but he's a guy that people don't like. Fan bases don't like him, and they don't want him in the league, and they're not going to give him an opportunity no matter what's at stake.
So let me ask you this question. This is one of these theoretical questions that I thought of the other day, and I wanted to put this to light. Now I'm glad you brought it up when you was like they don't like Cam because of his dancing and his enthusiasm. Uh, so let me put this picture out there. We do remember back in the '90s when Deion Sanders touched down in the NFL, right?
Yeah, we do.
Isn't that somewhat of the same kind of bravado, same kind of swagger? A little different, but it's modern day.
Yeah, yeah. The difference in that defensive backs, wide receivers, running backs, all that, for whatever reason, it gets accepted there. And also, there's not a negative racial stigma that comes with those positions either. Those positions aren't looked at as like a CEO type position. The quarterback position is viewed as like the CEO on the field. First of all, when it comes to the imagery of a CEO, the typical CEO is viewed as typically a middle-aged white man that stands about 6'4". A black guy who dances and wears flashy clothes doesn't fit in the mold of a CEO. So when you talk about the imagery of what the society perceives as a CEO, he doesn't fit in that mold. And typically, when someone sees a CEO, they think of someone who's serious, buttoned up, all business like. When you see Newton, Newton's a guy who's flashy, likes to dance, like to have fun, that type of thing, and people don't associate that with the CEO, and so they look at him as someone who doesn't fit the mold of that. Like, of course, you have black CEOs, some black CEOs, just like Bank of America. Just they have a black president now. The thing is, most of the time when you have black people in the CEO position, they're still buttoned up and they still fit the mold that's considered acceptable. Like a Russell Wilson, for example, he's a great player, so I'm not taking anything away from him, but he fits that mold. He's business-like, he's buttoned up, serious-like, so he's considered acceptable. Cam Newton is like the antithesis of that personality-wise, so he's looked at as one who's silly, does weird stuff with his hair and all that, things that have nothing to do with football, and it gets held against him. And like I said the other day, Sam Darnold threw a game away with 3 interceptions, 3 bad interceptions last Sunday with the Panthers, and you didn't hear the widespread complaining. And I said it's okay because he doesn't dance. And people complain about the offensive line. Yes, the offensive line is bad, but the offensive line's been bad the last 4 or 5 years in Carolina. So it's funny to me that during the years when Newton had a bad offensive line, you didn't hear the masses, the general public complaining about the offensive line. When he played poorly, all the blame went on him. Now, when Darnold plays poorly, the narrative is everyone else's fault but his. People getting
Right.
mad, blaming Robbie Anderson, blaming the offensive line. Yes, the offensive line is bad, but it's just as bad as it's been all along the last few
Long
years.
time, yeah.
Right,
So,
but yet, all of a sudden, when Darnold plays poorly, it's like even in the Charlotte Observer, the article is leading with how bad the offensive line is. I'm like, why all of so it's like all of a sudden now it's like the offensive line is bad, but before it's just the quarterback was bad. Yet when the white quarterback comes in and plays poorly, even they threw Bridgewater under the bus last year. They had a bad offensive line with Bridgewater. They threw him under the bus last year, but now all of a sudden, and they were saying, well, he needs to take more shots downfield. He needs to be more aggressive. But now you have Darnold here, and he's last 2 games we've lost. He's turned the ball over quite a bit in the last 2 games, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, the offensive line isn't good enough. I'm like, so why is it that
what's
the white
up?
why is it that the white quarterback gets afforded the excuse where the blame gets placed on everyone else, but yet when you had the 2 black quarterbacks prior to him, it was like everything was their fault without any kind of grace.
You're right. Let me go back and answer this question. This comment. That's not gonna happen.
That ain't gonna happen.
That's not
That
gonna
horse
happen.
that horse done left the stable, and then and don't get me wrong, I didn't like the way Colin was done. But Colin, I still got to be fair about it. When they had that tryout down in Flowery Branch, where they had that little combine thing, and
Yeah.
he didn't show up to the tryout. I mean, you can't do that. To
Nah,
me,
yeah,
that
that was
so
on him there.
right now. Granted, the fact that he was in position to have to do that in the first place wasn't fair. But since that opportunity was afforded, for you to agree to, hey, we're gonna have this tryout, this workout where all the scouts can come see me, and if anybody likes what they see, they can sign me, and then you don't show up, then release a video talking about because you had to sign a waiver. I said anytime there's a tryout or workout, you have to sign injury waivers. So that's nothing new there. He at that point he wasn't moving in good faith. I think that he wasn't expecting that, and I think that he
Mhm.
was riding the momentum of being a martyr. That's how he got a big contract with Nike. And I think at the time he wasn't necessarily really wanting to play. He just wanted the narrative that they don't want me in the league, which that narrative was true. But then at that
Mhm.
time they finally said, here, we're gonna have a workout. JC, I think, was a part. I don't know if he was a part of that, but it was right after he had become a partner with the NFL regarding the Super Bowl halftime show. And then for him just to not even show up at all and then do a video why he didn't show up, that's just like if you were offered a job interview
Right.
for a job in whatever company, and you've been trying to get on. Let's just use an example for people from Anson and Union County. Let's say Teledyne Allback. I'm just using it, ATI Allback, just a random example. Let's say
Right.
you've been trying to get on there for the longest, and you finally get an interview scheduled. They finally say, "Hey, we're going to interview," and then the day of the interview, you don't show up, and then going to complain, "Well, they didn't hire me." So
You
on
didn't
that,
show.
so on that, yes, I think Kaepernick had previously been blackballed, but at the same time, when the opportunity was there for him to go to basically go have a job interview, he willfully and purposefully did not show up for the interview. And so at that point, I couldn't take him seriously because I felt like a lot. At that point, I felt like what he was doing, a lot of it was. I think initially it was about justice, and I think he was being sincere. But as time went on, it became profitable for him, and I think the attention of the situation became profitable for him, and I think he realized he can make more money saying by sacrificing his career and making more money through endorsements than he could have and returning to the league and getting hit and taking the beating and battering on his body. And I think that he made that decision on his own, and for that, I can't feel sorry for him anymore.
Right. Because I mean, let's just say if he went for the sake of argument, he went to the actual workout. The percentage of chance of him getting picked up probably would have been just a teeny bit higher than what he was going out to doing it on his own. He might have
Yeah,
would have got somebody might have would have took the chance.
here's the
Maybe.
thing: whether they did or didn't, when you don't show up, you've eliminated any chance.
Anything. Yeah,
You
that
you
I
you
get that.
can't
Yeah.
you can't rip an organization for not signing you when you didn't show up to the interview.
Right. I agree. I 100% agree with that. That's why I
So
say he dug his own hole on that one. And and I feel like he was just trying to rub that in their face, like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, and
right,
like you
because
said,
if
I don't
that's
think he was really trying to play.
right, so my point is, why did he even waste everybody's time? All those people flew out there and showed up there, and then he didn't even show up. And so it's hard for me to. I don't want to say I don't take him seriously, but at the same time, after that,
It kind of
I,
is like, yeah,
yeah,
man.
just like yeah, like you're not serious about playing. Yeah, you
It's
weren't
like
done, done
you wanna play the pity party,
right. You
and
weren't done fairly, but you
yeah,
also propaganda. Your situation was wrong. You weren't done fairly, but you propagandized that situation and used it as a crutch and used it as a crutch for profit. So I don't really feel sorry for him. I think that he'll never play in the league again, and oh well.
what do you think about Trevor Lawrence? He's okay.
It's too early to tell. How many
Yeah,
games he played?
yeah. What,
And
5,
then
6?
5, 6 games and on a bad football team. So and
Yeah.
and with a college coach, and we don't even know if he's going to be there next year. I feel like he's not. I feel like he's going to be in Los Angeles and not with the Rams. I feel like he's going to be in Los Angeles with the Trojans. So
Trojans grinding, it's all the same.
yeah, let's. I knew
Yeah.
you were going to take that and run with it. So
See what I did
I,
there? No.
one thing, Trevor Lawrence, when he was in college, I know he was a gunslinger. Sometimes he would try to fit that ball in coverage. Like had a lot of Brett Favre type in him when as far as gunslinging and feeling like he could fit any ball in. He better be careful with that in the NFL because defenders close much quicker. I'll put it like this: you're not playing against Wake Forest.
Right.
You're not playing against Pittsburgh. I'm talking about Pittsburgh Panthers. You're not
Panthers.
playing. Yeah, you're not playing against North Carolina State.
No.
So you're not playing against Georgia Tech. So
Nah.
defenders close much quicker in NFL. Pass rush gets to you much quicker in
Put in
NFL
the
too.
NFL. Yep.
Yeah, safeties are much faster in the NFL. So
Yeah. Yeah.
even linebackers. So
Oh,
you
way
can't.
faster.
You can't you can't be throwing the ball late. You can't be throwing that ball across your body. So
Nope.
and your feet and you better be set when you throw that ball. If you're late throwing the ball in the NFL, that ball is going to get intercepted.
We talked about this the other day too, man. And I got to go with T on that one. Um, just because they look better, don't mean they better.
Yep.
We talked about that the other day. How I said, I think Alabama could go in and beat one of these NFL teams that's low ranked. No,
And then they lost to Texas A&M a
Texas
few days
A&M.
later.
No, and that broke that exactly. That's why I was gonna get to it. Like, so that broke my mold. I was like, okay, yeah, he's right. I was just speaking for the sake of argument, but when you look
Well,
at it,
people used to say that about USC when they had Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush and Lindell White and a whole bunch of other guys.
but if you think about it, all those guys got to the NFL and they just it was it. They didn't do
Lindell pl-
anything.
Lindell was decent with the Titans when he and Chris Johnson were splitting carries.
That's the
Reggie
only one. Reggie had maybe
Reggie
one or two good years.
Reggie. Here's the thing: Reggie Bush didn't have a bad career. The thing is that he was the second overall pick in the draft, and many thought he should have been the first overall pick in the draft. He didn't live up to the hype. He wasn't a bad player. It's just where he was drafted, and as much as he was hyped up, he didn't live up to that. He was a
So
he was a decent situational type guy that you could throw it to out of the backfield, kind of a scat back is what he was. But
yeah,
he had a decent, a respectable career. It's just that when you're the second overall pick, you should be
they
better than respectable.
so we had that comparison. So I don't know who was the bigger bust as far as I ain't gonna say he was a bust because he's not a bust because he got a Super Bowl. I
Well, I
can't.
mean, just because you got hold up, just because you won a Super Bowl doesn't mean you're bust. All 53 men get a Super Bowl ring. But go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just saying like as far as that the year that he played, the year one, he actually contributed to get one, so it wasn't like he had a
Yeah, but he wasn't the starting back. Deuce wasn't there. Pierre Thomas was the starting back.
yeah, he was like a
Pierre
third down back.
Pierre,
Reggie
yeah,
was like
Pierre Thomas was the lead back and got the bulk of the carries, but Reggie was a change of pace back. Got it. Sometimes they used in punt returns, that type of stuff, or in some passing situations they want to throw it out the backfield. But
it wasn't a Trent Richardson situation, is what I'm saying.
no, Trent Richardson was a bust. But my point is, I just wanted to say, just because you won a Super Bowl doesn't mean that you're not a bust. There are plenty of busts who may have even wound up in New England over the last 15 years and may have gotten one. So,
Yeah,
but go
true.
ahead.
What was I gonna say? But yeah, I was just saying I think that he was a bust. Well, Trent Richardson was a bust as far as
Yeah, yeah. Trent Richardson was an absolute bust from the moment he came in the league, and when he
I
was
didn't see
wait a
how
minute,
it came. That was more of a kind of a that was
yeah,
kind
because
of like left field for me.
he wasn't patient and had poor vision because he had speed when he was at Arkansas, not Arkansas, when he was at Alabama,
Alabama,
he could
yeah.
I'm thinking about Darren McFadden. He could shoot through there like a cannon, and but I'll never forget this highlight when he played with the Raiders. We had a wide open gaping hole over there, 10 yards out end zone, and he bounced the ball to the opposite
Going
end.
outside.
Yeah, you saw that. You ever seen that highlight on
Yep.
YouTube?
Yep. I seen it
Yeah,
on I forgot the guy's page that I was looking at it on, but they showed the hole was like this and he bounced outside and I was like, where you going? Like you playing
yep.
Madden, your joystick get jammed up.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
But anyway, on that, I want to ask a question. This is might be still early. The verdict is out on them. I want because I did watch the game Sunday night. Is Buffalo for real?
Why are you asking that? They went to the AFC Championship game last year. They went
Yeah,
13-3 last year.
they lost to the team that beat them though. Just asking.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, and they beat them Sunday. I don't really. I mean, that happens. Kansas City lost their two starting tackles. They lost two Pro Bowl tackles, Eric Fisher and Jeff Schwartz. Not Jeff Schwartz, Mitchell Schwartz.
Sports,
Those two
yeah.
guys, both of those guys were injured in the Super Bowl. That's why they primarily lost the Super Bowl. Schwartz had been out a while, and then Fisher got hurt too, and they both didn't play in the Super Bowl. And you had Mike Rimmers starting in the Super Bowl, which those of us who are Panther fans are familiar with Mike Rimmers playing left tackle in the Super Bowl. He cost us the Super Bowl, and now even though everybody blamed Newton, now people saw how bad Mahomes looked with Mike Rimmers blocking for him in the Super Bowl. And I hope that taught people that if you don't have protection, it doesn't matter how good you are. People were talking about like how did Mahomes not play so well? It's not like he laid an egg. It's like he didn't have no one to block for him. And so now you're going into a full season without either one of those tackles, and now it's a little more difficult. And they're struggling right now. And so I mean, Buffalo went 13-3 last year, and they brought the nucleus back. So I
Yeah.
expect them to be good again this year. They're going to win the AFC East more than likely.
Oh yeah, of course they're gonna win that. I'm not even gonna argue that fact. I'm a Patriots fan, but I can see the truth in front of me. We're not gonna
Um,
win. I don't think we
eh,
win 6 games.
well, you got a tough Dallas opponent. As bad as I hate the Cowboys, I'm rooting for them tomorrow.
But they're gonna probably win. They probably gonna run the ball. They're gonna run the shit out of us tomorrow. Just gonna watch and see. They'll
Uh,
have too many yards rushing.
your biggest hope is that guys like Judon and them could get to the quarterback and cause a disruption. Judon's a player, but
Yeah,
aside from
now
that,
he's that's the anchor of the defense. Now, the far as the secondary,
man, it's still so. But Judon's your offense is bad too. Your offensive line isn't great. Your receivers and the guys them tight ends you signed hadn't really panned out either. So I mean,
yeah,
anything can happen. But this is a home game. You guys are already 0-3 at home. You can't afford to fall to 0-4 at home. If you fall to 0-4 at home, you're in an uphill
that's it.
battle.
Yeah, that's I don't know how many home games I don't know how it is now because since it's 17 games, I don't know exactly how many home games. You have
Well,
one
I
more.
guess, yeah, like Carolina got 9 road games, I think, 8 home games. I don't know if everybody's like that or what, so I don't know either. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, that's still at least nearly half of your season. You don't want to be 0-4 at home. That
No,
makes it
you
very
don't.
difficult.
I can't remember in modern time when we've lost more than 4 games at home in 10 years.
Yeah, so you can't have that. But I don't think the team's that great. And they're 2-3. They did come back and beat the Texans last week, but that's a very, very bad football team too. But still, they won the game. So you're 2-3.
Yeah,
You can get back to 500 if you beat Dallas tomorrow. If you don't lose Dallas, if you fall to 2-4, and 0-4 at home, you're in an
that's a
uphill
good
battle.
battle,
So
yeah. Because Buffalo's running away right now, and because if we get to that point where say if we lose tomorrow and lose the next two, you can pretty much wrap the division up now because Buffalo's gonna pretty much have it.
I agree.
And it just in 2 games, I just feel like if we lose the next two and Buffalo goes and rolls on the next two, that's pretty much it. And I don't
I
even see a
agree.
wild card in it because
I don't think you're gonna get a wild card either. I think you guys won about 6 games. What I think, but we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. I want to see. I know Dallas been steamrolling. Like you said, I don't like them, but shit, they the better team.
Well,
That's that. I mean, they the better team on paper. They are the better team.
yeah, you got to play the game though. But
You got to play the game.
they'll be favored to win. I'll put it like that.
Oh yeah, they favored to win. We are the underdog in that game. And that ain't happened. Now, last time I feel like the times that we had played them, we've never been the underdog against Dallas. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, you don't have number 12 running through that tunnel. That makes all the difference in the world.
Nah, he's in Florida. He's down in
Yep.
he's down in y'all bracket, and
Yeah,
honestly,
NFC South.
yeah, I can't really call the South right now because it's still kind of tight to me. As far as three
Yeah,
teams.
yeah, we got to get the winning games. So we done lost back-to-back games. That game to the Eagles, that you can't have that. If you end up missing the playoffs by like a game, you're gonna remember that game. You can't have that.
Yeah,
That's a
nah,
game. The coaching staff, QB play, all of that. That just piss poor game management down the stretch. You had that game wrapped up, had a 2-score lead. Your defense was dominating, and you just kept playing around, and letting them back in the game, and ended up losing the game. That was shameful. And don't
now
and for a guy that's supposed to be such a great coach, whatever you can't. I'm talking about who bears that name of being such a great coach and a great game manager, that type of thing. You can't have that. And like I said, Darnold threw the game away, and I know he didn't get great protection, but some of those interceptions he threw, it wasn't like he was running for his life on those. Those were just misses. There were a lot of overthrows and stuff too, but everyone keeps making excuses for him. But like I say, he's not black and he doesn't dance, so I guess people have to make excuses for him.
there you go. uh, I wanted to get into college. I did catch the 2 games last night. The Oregon and uh was it UCLA or Cal? I can't. I always get
They
them
play
confused.
California. They play California.
California. Yeah, I was getting. I don't know why I was getting them too confused. I
Well,
always
both
got
of them are
them
well,
first.
both of them are the University of California. Just one is the University of California. The other one is the University of California, Los Angeles.
Yeah. That's why I said I always get them two confused.
but
Colors aren't the
it's
same.
California,
Yeah.
the California
We
Golden Bears.
Golden Bears and UCLA Bruins.
Yeah,
So, but either way, we pulled it out 24-17. Still, I think they're still ranked ninth in the country right now as far as the AP. Clemson barely won yesterday as well against a very very bad Syracuse team.
yeah, but Clemson's not even in a national discussion right now. So
Nah, and I told you it was gonna happen.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they still got a chance to win the conference, depend because I feel like NC State will lose some other games, but we'll see.
Yeah, but yeah,
Well, speaking of, what about Oregon? Should be ashamed of themselves. They should have never lost to Stanford a couple of weeks ago. That's
that
they went on. They
that was
went
all
on.
this. That they lost all on discipline on that. And I agree with you on that. 2 minutes ago, you can't throw that many. You can't give up that many freaking penalties at that far into the game.
And
Stupid penalties at that.
they beat Ohio State at Ohio State, and they haven't really looked good since then. They struggled to beat Fresno State at the beginning of the season, and losing that game to Stanford, they might even cost themselves a college football playoff spot with that loss. That was a bad loss.
Possibly. Because you already know Alabama ain't gonna go too far down when they lose. Even if it was an unranked team.
Yeah, what they have SEC bias, so it's like with Alabama, it's like no matter what happens, they're still going to rank them in the top four. Alabama could go 6-6, and they would somehow rank them number four.
I feel like it would happen. I feel like if they lost more than 3 games, they'll still be in the playoff. Like in the
Well,
playoff hunt.
yeah, like if they were 10-2 or something like that, I think they'll still try to put them in.
Oh yeah. They did it
It's
1
like
year well before I think before the BCS, well before the playoff system. I think when they were when they did the computer
the
voting.
BCS. Well,
Yeah, BCS.
LSU's the only team that ever won a national championship with 2 losses.
They
They
did
were,
it.
yeah, they beat Ohio State. They were 10-2, and they beat Ohio State in the championship game. That was the year after Florida won it. This is '07.
Because I
So
think Florida got in that year and they were ranked number 4
Florida that year, Florida in '07 with the
when Chris
'07
Lee was
going,
there.
Florida
I
was
think they
ranked
were
like
ranked 4th.
they were ranked second in the BCS when they only the top 2 teams played in the championship. They played against Ohio State.
Was it 4? Well, that might have been the SEC championship game. They were 4. They probably moved up after they played. Who did they play? I think Arkansas.
I don't forgot. This is like in 2006.
2006, 7. Yeah, I know Chris
Arkansas
Lee was
was
the quarterback.
Arkansas playing the SEC championship game back then.
Yeah, because I think they were like 8.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
this one Brody Crowell and some of them were there because
Mm-mm.
that was like the last year that Arkansas had like a no, I'm thinking about Alabama. Brody Crowell played with Alabama, so who played with
It,
Arkansas? This was
This was
Darren
Ryan. I think
McFadden.
around the time Ryan Mallett was still there. Maybe
And
he was getting there. Or he was either
Mallett came out in '11, so this had to be when maybe when Matt Jones or some of that crowd could have, but Matt
possibly.
Jones maybe I know McFadden would have still been there, the running back. So
I know it was the year they won the SEC championship. They played Arkansas. They blowed them out, of course.
okay,
But I think they were ranked 8th and they were ranked and Florida was ranked 4th at the time. So they may
okay.
have moved up when it went over. They probably went up 2 spots after that game. But I do remember they were ranked 4th.
And Ohio State back then they didn't have a Big Ten championship game. It's just whoever finished with the best regular season record.
They had my boy Troy Smith. Troy Smith at the helm then.
Ted Ginn Jr. was there too.
Yeah. I think
Ted
he
Ginn
returned to
Jr.
kick that game.
The opening kickoff. He returned the opening kickoff. Then he hurt his ankle or something like that, and they had to miss the rest of the game.
Yep.
They got blown out in that game, like 41-14.
See, Chris Leak was the MVP? I think he was the MVP.
He was. He was, but yet they always try to say Tim Tebow. When they talk about Tebow, they like he led Florida to 2 national championships. I'm like, no, he led Florida to 1. He was the backup quarterback on it. They always want to give Chris Leak's championship to Tim Tebow, saying anytime they refer to Tim Tebow, they're like 2-time national champion. Yes, he was a part of 2 national championship teams, but he was
But
only the
Chris
starter on
Leak
one of
led
them.
that 017. I don't care how you feel about it. He
Well, he
led
was the
that
starter.
team.
I mean, he was the
Yeah.
starter. Tebow only came in to run Wildcat type
Yep.
formations. And what bothered me about it, but when they talk about Tebow's accolades, they're like he won 2 national championships in Florida. When they talk about his leadership and all that,
He
he
won
was on the
one.
roster.
Yeah.
That's just like saying Kelly Bryant won a national championship at Clemson. He was back up to Deshaun Watson, but Watson was the starter.
Starter, yeah. So that I get what you're saying. Like the narrative is like, oh yeah, Chris Lee won both those championships for Florida.
That Tim
No,
Tebow, like the Tim Tebow won both of those.
yeah, Tim
Tim,
Tebow, yeah,
yeah, when Chris Lee was the starter on that first one and was the MVP of the championship game.
yeah.
So I don't, but that doesn't fit their narrative. That's what bothers me about people like ESPN and some of these media outlets. They know the truth, but then they'll tinker with history and rewrite history just to fit their narrative. Like when they're trying to
Right.
push a narrative, they'll leave out truths and stuff, and kind of they'll change the story just to fit their narrative.
They fired John Gruden, didn't they?
Well,
Deservingly for
well, technically, he
he
resigned.
resigned. It's a nice way of saying we're not gonna fire you. We're just gonna let you resign.
Yeah, and who knows? And that was a PR thing. I don't think they really cared. They just know they had to do something.
Yeah,
It
because
is what it
yeah,
is. What it is. It's like, and I'm never surprised when you find out that someone said something racist, no matter who it is. So I mean, it's like when the whole thing happened, I was like, okay, whatever.
him there or not, the Raiders weren't gonna win those games regardless. So
And but here's a lesson in there's like, especially young guys that are up and coming, like playing high school ball and all that stuff. Remember, anything you do on the internet it can come back up again. So like when you come to emails, social media, and all that stuff, remember that stuff can come back years later to haunt you. So be mindful of what you're putting out there.
there you go.
Because
Don't
when
don't
that
say
stuff,
nothing. Don't say nothing that you know that can be documented on
right,
Al Gore's
right,
interview.
right, because once it's out there, that stuff can come back years later and haunt you because it's
Yep,
documented.
yep. Look what it's doing to my boy Dave.
Dave, who?
Chappelle.
Yeah, I mean, that's whatever, but I'm
Yeah,
not getting into that.
it's so stupid. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
whatever.
talk
I
about
don't
that
even.
Monday.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I'll be on that Monday. But yeah, again, it's kind of well. I'm not gonna say it's kind of hard right now to say who's gonna be in the college playoffs. Well, it actually is gonna be kind of right now. It's still it's gonna be murky until these championship games kick off. So
Well, yeah. Then the first college football playoff rankings don't come out until like
November,
November the 6th or something like that. So or not whatever that Tuesday is. That first Tuesday in November is
so
when the
right,
So right now we don't even know.
yeah. So right now, if you're looking, it's with Georgia, uh,
Well, yeah, well, Georgia probably number will be ranked number one.
one anyway. Yeah,
Then with right now Iowa's number two.
two.
Don't know who they're playing.
I think I
Don't-
don't know who they're playing today. If they playing
uh,
today.
they're playing Purdue today. They should beat Purdue.
I know Florida. Last time I looked, Florida was losing to LSU.
They did lose to LSU.
Oh, they did lose. Okay, yep.
Yeah,
There it is. How I said when I last looked, they were losing by I think it was about 10, something like
they
that.
lo- they lost 49-42.
Shootout.
Yeah, all that
Definitely.
SEC defense, huh?
Yeah, all that powerhouse defense. With that
Yeah.
powerhouse offense. What's the word, fellas?
Uh,
Eh, Birdie's still out. I'm not gonna say they are. They good. They number two, so
I
they
mean,
good.
they beat Penn State last week. So I mean, they got a. Like I said, they played 6 games. They won all 6 of them. So I mean, that's all we can go by right now.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna play in the Big Ten championship game. So they
Could it
might
be
get to
next
play
foot, probably like Ohio State or somebody? Well, pretty sure it's
or
Ohio State.
or Penn State. Penn State and Ohio State hadn't played yet. So
Oh yeah.
probably who win that Penn State Ohio State game will come out the East, and Iowa probably going to win the West. So they're probably. I'm hoping to see a rematch between Penn State and Iowa because I think but it's going to be hard for Penn State to go into
What's
Columbus
it?
and
Wait
beat
a minute. So
Ohio
Has
State.
Michigan even lost the game yet?
I don't think so. They
Cause
ranked
they,
like 10th.
yeah, but I
Yeah,
said
but
they still in the
uh,
little.
yeah, but we know they're
But
going to lose to
yeah,
Ohio State.
be a
They all
miracle.
only time Michigan beats Ohio State is if Ohio State's on probation or something.
That's about every 6, 7, no, about every 10 years.
Yeah, so Ohio State is going to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan always, and they hate Jim Harbaugh, but still, because they judge him on based on whether he beats Ohio State or not. So he can go like 11-1 and still lose his job. So
It's
that's the
like
sad.
everybody hates the Harbaugh. What's this with the Harbaugh? My man from
What
Denver don't like the other brother because he ran
John
that play.
Harbaugh?
Yeah, he ran that play. I'm like, shit, it's still the game's still going. He can do what he want to do.
Well, it's your job to stop it. Like if you don't
Yeah,
want somebody to,
yeah,
yeah, if you don't want somebody to get yards on you or scoring you or whatever, this is not high school. These are professionals. So I better
right,
say those guys out there, whether they're backups or whatever, they're getting paid. It's their job to go out there and stop them.
right.
That's what they're paid to do.
He was thinking, oh yeah, well we lost. They gonna kneel the ball. I don't have to
I'll put it
kneel the
like
ball.
this: it's not my. I'll never forget this. Steve Spurrier once said, he said, "It is not my job to stop my team from scoring." And
Damn
I'll
right.
even tell you another one. One time, Forest Hill beat Monroe 93-0 back like in the 90s, just back when Forest Hill was a powerhouse. And people got mad at Coach John Lowry, accusing him of running up the score. And his response was, I got 11 men on the field, you got 11 on the field. He said, I didn't cheat. So if your 11 can't
No,
stop my if your 11 can't stop my 11, he said, I'm not going to tell my boys to stop playing. So
no, because if you're taught in football, you're taught to
the final
play until
whistle.
the game's up. Yeah, to the final whistle. So what they did was not no. It's not against the rules. It's not in the rule books. You know, if you want a pity party because they ran 8 yards and they got a record, oh well, should have stopped them.
Yeah, you the one that allowed it. So
Yeah,
I
you
get
talking about?
tired.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the
they
dude said,
ran
"Oh,
up the
BS."
score. I hate when people are like, oh, they ran up the score. They ran up the score. I'm like, so you're mad at them because you couldn't play defense?
Well, see, the
I
thing
mean,
is, they didn't run the score. It just ran for like a basic first down to keep clock going. So I mean, that's what any team would do.
even with that, it's your job. No matter what, it's your job to stop
Stop,
it.
stop it. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying. So basically, you need to stop that. If you can't sit here and say, "Oh uh, man, I don't think they're gonna run," but let's just get in a little safe defense so they'll take a
No,
knee.
also, back in 1997, Kannapolis beat Northwest Bears 97-0,
97. Yep,
and they
remember
got
that?
and they got, and people got mad with Coach Bruce Harden. No relation. They
No
got
relation.
mad with Coach. Obviously, if you saw Coach Bruce Harden, you know it's no relation unless you're going back maybe in the 1800s or something might have happened. But anyway, um, they got mad at Coach Bruce Harden, and Coach Bruce Harden said something. He said, "It's not my job to stop my guys." He said, I don't tell my kids to stop playing.
That's
So
right. Like,
if you
wow, that's
if you
stupid.
if you get beat 97-0, I mean, where's your pride? Where's your pride to even allow that to happen?
Listen,
At this
as a
at this
coach,
take a penalty or something. I mean,
yeah, at this point, look, hey, at this point, if I was a coach, I'm telling my team to go for 100. Get as many points as you fucking get. That's how I feel. Run and
you
score.
know, it's dog eat dog world, man. It's because the thing about it, especially like with high school football and stuff, that's supposed to be like designed to help mold young men and teach them lessons of life and prepare them for life in the real world. And it's supposed to be used as a microcosm of that. Well, guess what, young man? In the real world, life is going to kick you down,
Yeah,
and life will run up the score on you. Life
yeah,
doesn't kneel down on you. Like
nope.
in life, when it rains, it pours, and when life gets to kicking your butt, I promise you, when the rigors of the world come at you, the real world doesn't take knees. The real world will run the score up 100-0 on you, young man. And they will run the score upon you. The real world will run the score upon you and show no mercy. They
And
will
the
not.
funny,
They will
the
not kneel
funny,
down.
the funny thing is, this is a grown man coaching grown men complain about a few
Right.
yards. That's what's the funny thing.
But even when people complain about stuff like that in high school, I say we're supposed to be teaching these young men lessons in life, and the lessons that you're teaching them is when you get knocked down, you have to get back up and do something about it. You can't lay down and feel sorry for yourself because the world will walk all over you, and the world won't take a knee. The world
Right.
will walk all over you and will run the score upon you and kick your butt, and it's up to you to get up off your feet and make something happen and turn things around. So you can't be teaching these kids that when things get tough, people are going to show the world's going to show mercy on you. I always tell
Exactly.
people this: the only person you're going to get mercy from is God the Father Himself.
That's
Other
it.
than that, you're not. Other than that, the world ain't giving you mercy.
Nope. Bet out pissing in the wind.
Yep. So I get tired of these crybaby fans and stuff. Oh, that wasn't fair. That wasn't sportsmanlike. I said, well, if you don't like it, next time have your kids do something about it.
There you go. Let's get into well, we had 3 stretch of high school games in less well, maybe in a week. Yeah, in a week. Yeah,
Oh,
3 games in a
oh,
week.
we're gonna do this.
We're gonna do it. We got to.
Oh man. All
Three
right.
games in a week. came out one win and with two losses out of all of it together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
two shutouts and one shootout. Well, I ain't
Well, the other one, I was there last night. The other one wasn't a shootout, but I'll get into it in a minute. It looked like a shootout at the end, but it wasn't a shootout.
okay.
Let's start with the first one. Let's start with the bad.
The very bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, Look, I'm going to start out with it. I'm going to preface it. This is nothing personal against anybody. I love Anson. Nothing. This is not me taking any shots at anyone. I'm just, but I have to be honest on here, and I'm just telling you what I saw. So take that for what it is.
All right.
And that game against Forest Hill, that football team was not prepared to play football. They were not focused. They weren't prepared. They weren't organized. They looked like They looked like a team that hadn't practiced in a month. The first play from scrimmage, the ball snapped above QB's head, went back for a safety. The very next drive, the same thing happened, but we were able to recover it, but still ultimately ended up punting the ball. Later on, we had two safeties in the same game or against us. That last safety was another snap above the QB's head that went out the back of the end zone. And on the free safety punt, we allowed the safety punt to get returned for a touchdown. I've never seen a safety punt get returned for a touchdown before. I saw that happen there. The team melted down, and I will say this, and I think Coach Jackson and anyone else will tell you, the team quit. They never were focused from the start. There were times we had to burn several timeouts because we were having trouble getting personnel on the field. At one point, it appeared that we ran out on the field with only 8 guys one time. There were about 5 different occasions where we didn't have enough personnel on the field, and we either at the last second late in the clock was running an 11th man out there, or I could think of at least 2 or 3 occasions where we had to burn a timeout because we were struggling to get the right personnel on the field. That's unacceptable. That has nothing to do with talent. That has nothing to do with skill. That's just lack of organization. And even from a coaching staff, to allow that to happen is unacceptable. And this is not anything personal because one thing about Coach Jackson, he's a guy that believes in accountability. And if he was on the podcast right now, I think he would say the same thing. He would even say that's unacceptable. So that's why I'm comfortable saying that. This is not a shot at him. He's a great man, and I think he's trying as hard as he can. It's just that sometimes he's not being dealt a full deck of cards to work with right now. And I'm not going to get into all that.
Yeah.
Even he will be proud to tell you, or will be honest with you and tell you that that's not acceptable. What happened against Forest Hills? That was a game that was considered a coin flip game, a game that was considered with two teams that have similar talent levels where the game can go either way. And to come out and lose that game 52-0, not because the other team was more talented, but because the other team was more focused and this team wasn't focused. Anytime you run out there with only 8 or 9 guys on the field and guys don't even know when to be out on the field, that's showing a lack of preparation, a lack of focus. Anytime simple things like center QB exchange, where the ball is, no, I'm not a coach, but my Anson Senior High School is my alma mater, and Charlotte, UNC Charlotte, University of North Carolina, Charlotte's my college alma mater, so I follow their football teams heavily. But anyone to tell you that that's not acceptable because that's lack of preparation, that's lack of focus, and then when they got down, it looked like there was lack of enthusiasm. You saw infighting. All of those things have nothing to do with talent. That has to do with commitment and effort and organization, and that was unacceptable. And I'm sure if Coach Jackson was on here, he would tell you that performance was unacceptable. The game against Monroe, I wasn't there. I wasn't there, so I don't have any comments on it. The score is 49-0. Like I said, anytime the score, Monroe, I think most would argue they have a better football team than we do. So even though it's never acceptable to lose 49-0, I could accept that better than I could accept the Forest Hill one because the Forest Hill one was supposed to be against an equally matched opponent, and it was more about lack of preparation, lack of focus that lost that. I think that most would agree that Monroe team is empirically better. 49-0 better. I don't know because I didn't see the game, but I think going into that game, Monroe would have been heavy favorites in that game, whereas the Forest Hill game would have been considered a pick'em game. Last night, we played against Covenant Day, a small private school out of Matthews. They were 1-5 going into the game. Team that only has about 18 or 19 players. A team that you would think, even if we weren't playing well, a team that you think we would steamroll over. It was a game where the first half of the game, the team again didn't look focused, didn't look prepared to play. There were several times where I was seeing guys just sidestep and not even tackle. Offensive line was not blocking at all. Defensive line wasn't getting any penetration. Many missed tackles. We struggled running personnel in and off the field again. It looked like a disaster. First half, we got first quarter out the gates. We're down 13-0. We're down 20-10 at halftime. Got down 27-10 in the third quarter, looking like the game was over. But to the guys' credit and to the coaching staff's credit, the guys didn't quit that time. This time, they rallied back, came back to win the game. Final score ended up being 39-27. So even though it's an inferior opponent, that was a game we should have blown out from the very beginning. I still commend the coaching staff and the team for not quitting. And even though they had a large deficit in the second half, they didn't quit, especially after two blowout losses. They could have thrown the towel in, but they rallied back, found a way to win the game, and didn't feel sorry for themselves. So I still commend them for getting a win, but we still have a lot of work to do. As far as how we're looking, one thing that bothers me, and I haven't even talked to Coach Jackson about this yet, the coaching staff. That means we don't have any coaches. No, on the podcast, I hate when someone call me when anything to talk about. Okay. We're the coaching staff is very thin. Like on the sidelines, you only see about 3 or 4 coaches, and then of course you have Coach Hyatt. Yeah, I think Coach Hyatt is in the booth, but okay. But on the sideline, I just saw 3 because I'm not counting Pastor Steve. By the way, Pastor Steve is a great guy, great ambassador for Christ. But I'm talking about, but he's a chaplain, not a football coach. So I mean, right. I see him down there. Then I see the guy who appears to be the defense coordinator down there, and then I see Mr. Pons down there. And this is not a shot at him. I'm just saying, but I don't know if he's an actual coach or not. But I mean, he's down there with a headset. So I'm only seeing about Mr. Pons.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Terry. Yeah, I think he was. I don't know if he might be a position coach, but I don't think he's a
right. But it doesn't appear that we have any. We don't. That's the point I'm making. It doesn't appear that we have. Let me get my point across. It doesn't appear that we have any position coaches because the only thing I see the head coach. Then I see about 2 or 3 other coaches. So that lets you know you don't. Offense coordinator, defense coordinator. That's 2, and then you're only talking about 1 more guy. Even if Pons is there, I don't think he's a. I mean, I know he's been part of the staff, but he's not kind of one of the staples of the staff. He's not the guy that you consider that's gonna make the engine go. And so my point is, you don't. So you got a defense coordinator, but you don't have a DB coach. You don't have a defensive line coach. You don't have a linebackers coach. You don't have a secondary coach. And I'm about to get to a greater point. So you got an offense. Apparently, you got an offense coordinator, I guess, but you don't have an offensive. Maybe Pons an offensive line coach. I don't know, but you don't have a running backs coach. You don't appear to have a QB coach unless Coach Hyatt is just taking on that role and also running the offense. That I don't know. But Coach Hyatt might. I don't know if he's the offense coordinator or not. But
I think he is.
So my point is, he may be taking on the role of QB coach too, but he's up there in the booth. So my point is, so it's not like you got one individual with a QB. So you got an offense coordinator, you got a defense coordinator, but you don't have a running backs coach. You don't have a wide receivers coach. You might have an O-line coach. You get where I'm getting at. So that might be why. That may be why you're struggling to get personnel in and off the field, because lots of times position coaches are there to help organize what personnel groupings. So now you got a head coach who's stressing himself because he doesn't have a staff. He only got about 3 guys. So you got the defense coordinator. That means now he's having to deal with the DBs, the linebackers, the defense linemen. You don't have the DL coach. You don't have the linebackers coach. You don't have a DB coach. I don't know how in the world you're running out on the field with only like 3 coaches on your staff. I'm not blaming them, but I'm talking about. But my point is that's a handicap. So no, you're not going to be good like that because he can't. He's the head coach. He's the CEO and trying to focus on the entire picture. He doesn't have time in the game to get down individually with every position or personnel grouping. And that's the point of having a staff. A head coach cannot be successful if he doesn't have an adequate staff. Yeah. And he's in the situation where, and that's something at some point I want to talk to him about, like what happened to your staff? Like I know you had some coaches that are no longer on the staff, but you would think you'd be able to replace them with somebody. Yeah,
the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator from 2 years ago ain't there no more.
Yeah, I know that. And Quan, I mean, I know that, but I'm just saying, I know where Terry is. Terry's in Asheboro, but but my point is, if you lose a coordinator, you get another one. That's the point I'm making. So So the point I'm making is you don't have a staff. So you can't. The overall point is the kids are not being adequately coached, and this is not me taking a shot at Coach Jackson. So, Coach, if you hear this. This is not me going online taking a shot at you. What I'm saying is they're not being adequately coached because there's not enough staff to coach them. That's what I'm saying. So my point is you're a good man, but you can't do it all by yourself. And I know that you're not purposely saying that that's all you want. But my point is if you don't have the resources, then it's going to be hard for you to be successful. And the thing about it, you don't hear him complain about it, but you know that got to be frustrating to him when he doesn't even have a staff. It's like he's basically him and 3 guys trying to do it all by themselves. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and it's a disservice to the kids because even though he's coaching probably as hard as he can, trying to do the best he can, he doesn't have the resources and the staff to allow those kids to be properly coached. And it's showing on Friday nights, and it's getting worse and worse each week. And that's a detriment to those kids. And I think that's where the problem. And then you already got a young team, and when a team is really young with a bunch of freshmen, well, mainly a bunch of sophomores,
Sophomore,
coaching,
yeah.
yeah, coaching is paramount because they're in that learning stage. And the thing about it, if they don't, you can't expect them to learn when they don't have teachers there. And when I say teachers, I'm talking teachers on the field. Like the thing about it, if you don't have a defensive line coach, then who's going to teach the defensive line whatever is necessary for the defensive line to know? If you don't have a
Yep.
linebackers coach, because the defense coordinator is overseeing the entire defense,
Defense.
those guys are supposed to be his assistants that help him with those personnel groupings to bring the puzzle together. It takes just like it takes a team. Same thing with the coaching staff. That's a team. So if you
Team,
don't
yeah.
have so if you don't have enough people on your team, just like if you don't have enough depth on the football team, if you don't have enough people on your staff, then you're working from a handicap. And like I said, and the people who suffer the most are the kids, and that's
Exactly.
problem. And so that's problematic, man. It bothers me and it worries me. So that's something that got to be fixed going into next year. No matter whether it's Jackson, the head coach, or whoever, you have to have a proper, adequate staff.
Exactly. You got to. There's no other way around it. There's no other way around that. And again, I like I said, I know that we just talked about the two that left, and I think he took a year off.
Yeah, I don't want to put his business in the street, but he did
Yeah,
for personal health reasons, and I won't call his name. But
yeah. He
I
took a
mean,
year off, and
I
another
text
one was for the
I
baby.
text yeah I texted him today, but I hadn't heard back from him yet. So
Yeah,
but no, I want him. Of course, his life is important. I want him to get well, take care of himself, so he can be there for friends and family and stuff. So I understand
yeah.
prioritizing his health is number one. So I'm not knocking him for that. But you can
No,
tell the difference with him not being there because and he was a part of that puzzle and he's a great teacher of young men, and especially with the offensive line. He's an excellent offensive line coach and good individually working with that personnel. So
yep.
that hurts when you lose members of your staff and then you don't even have adequate replacements. You're basically typically a coaching staff at least has 10 coaches. I'm talking about typically at the minimum. And
Yeah,
when you run out there and on the sideline, you're only seeing aside from the head coach, you're only seeing three other guys
guys.
and
Yeah,
and responsible for all those groupings. No, they're not going to be. It's
I
not going
know.
to be adequate enough, and the
Even
kids. It's not fair to the kids.
even under the Grooms regime, I know we had at least 8 to 10.
You had about 10.
Yeah, 10. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I could almost tell you who they are. Like Grooms with the head coach. Um,
Madison was.
well, I'm about to tell you. Coach Curry got rest of soul. He ran offense one of those years on offense. Then
Wide
you had
receiver coach.
yeah, you had the McLaurin brothers. That's four right there.
Mhm.
On the defensive side, you had Richard Davis. You had Trox. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me start back on offense. You had Coach Curry. You had McElhaney. You had
Mhm.
the McLaurin brothers. You
Yep.
had who else? I just said another one. It was five. Let me start back over. So Coach Curry, the McLaurins, McElhaney,
Masterton.
oh, Ed Masterton, yeah, Bernard Henry. So
Running
that
back
that that.
coach.
That's six right there just on the offensive side of the ball. So now if we go to defense, you had Richard Davis,
Mhm.
you had Troxler.
Yep.
So that's eight guys right there. There's more than that. I'm just missing some of it because it's been so long.
Toby. Toby was defensive line coach.
Well, I mentioned it when I said McLaurin brothers, so
Yeah.
I counted them with offense. Uh, McMillan might have been gone by then, but
It was
because
Looker Bill, Johnson. That's
the
it.
guy that coached baseball too, Coach Jones, Matt Jones, and all that. So
Jones.
my
Yeah.
point, we already named about 11 guys already.
Yeah. So that's why I said we had the staffing. So as far as getting personnel out there, it's very important that you have those people there.
All
Because
right,
like you
so
said, the coordinator can't do it all. He's got to be responsible just to get puzzles in place, but they got to be responsible for getting the pieces to get out there on the
right,
field.
right,
So
we just named 11 guys just right off the top of our heads, and might even be missing some people, but we just named 11
we missing a good few, but that's what I said. I'm just naming the ones that, like I said,
that we
popped
can
off the
think
top of
of.
my head.
Right,
Yeah.
that's 11 guys off the top of our head we just named right there. So the point is, you see the disservices that's being made, and at some point, and I think the middle school is suffering through the same thing. And I don't think he mind me sharing this. Terry Harris, shout out to you, boy. Terry was telling me that they only got like 3 or 4 coaches there too.
They do.
And see, so now you're talking about the middle school, and now going up to the high school, the same problem. No, your program, if this is the mainstay and how it's going to be, then your program will never be turned around if that's not fixed. That's not me being a pet. That's not my being a pessimist. I'm being a realist. I'm optimistic, and I believe there's talent there. I
Mhm.
believe that it could be turned around. But if you don't have an adequate staff, it doesn't matter what Coach Jackson does. If he doesn't have an adequate staff, then no, he's not going to be successful. And this is not me taking a shot at him. This is just a true observation. And I'm sure that he'll even would acknowledge this if he was talking to us right now on the podcast.
Yeah, I remember the year me and Ronald helped them out at the middle school, and they was still kind of short. Then this one Coach Pop was still out there coaching then.
That's another guy that was on the staff, on
Yep,
Green
yep,
staff that we
Pop.
didn't call.
Yep,
Yeah,
Pop was out
Buchanan.
there. Yep, and like you
And
said,
you know what's so funny about Coach Buchanan? I don't mind saying this. After I've had a few conversations with him, before I had some conversations with him, I underestimated his knowledge. I had a few conversations with him at some games over the last 5 or 6 years. That man, Coach Buchanan, actually has high football intelligence,
he
and
does.
yeah,
I'm
his
telling you, he does.
he has high football intelligence. I don't think he's always been put in the best position to succeed, and on
Nope.
some of the staffs that he's on. But as far as his pure knowledge, he has a world of knowledge and a world of football knowledge, and he has a natural football mind. And that was something about him I underestimated until I had some one-on-one conversations with him.
And let me put these like this. And I played under Coach Pop when we played semi-pro ball. Coach Pop put that whole defensive book together by himself. Him and Mars put that together. They put that together. It was like, I mean, it's base defenses, but they put twists on them to make it like, okay, this is pretty cool. But he put all that stuff together. He put the offensive stuff together, and he worked on the defensive stuff together. And like, granted, we only had two coaches within
Right.
just in semi-pro. We didn't have a coordinator. They just put it
Yeah.
together. And as far as they made the playbooks, they did all that stuff. It wasn't like we're gonna buy it from here and there. They drawed it out and printed it out on paper. I still got the book in my closet that they drawed out as far as like the basic defenses and coverages that what each position need to know. So I
And
was
let me.
like, mm, oh, you
I
ahead.
was gonna answer. I'm gonna answer Wendell's question. No, I haven't considered volunteering. I don't live in the city where my high school is located, so it would be very difficult. Furthermore, I don't know if my voice would be considered a credible source since I've never played it down. So I don't know if my voice will be considered a credible voice. The only thing that my voice I think will be valuable to is just from just general organization. I think the organization needs to be better. I think that if I was in a position like that, I think I could help with getting organized. But as far as the training, the technique, and all that, my voice wouldn't be valuable, and I don't mind admitting that. So, and the things that I was critical of weren't necessarily the organizational. I mean, not the actual nuances of football stuff. The things I was critical of is the lack of organization because of the lack of people that you have to help. But to be fair, speaking of being a disservice to the kids, I would want the kids to have credible people helping them as well, because I wouldn't want to add to a disservice. So we need people like, for example, Nick would be a good example. Nick was a DB, and I'm just using that because I'm talking about he would be a credible voice and not someone who would do the kids a disservice. So
Nah, I want to see them succeed. That's the whole purpose. Like I want to see them. Most people I put it like this, man, and it bothers me because it's so, I don't know. It's like childish. Like I don't get when grown people bash kids. It's not their fault. Again, you gotta play the game. I get that. But you shouldn't go out here bashing these kids, calling them all kind of, whoop de whoop.
nah,
And you
I'm
can't
gonna
put all that on them. They kids. They are there for the fun part of it. I get it. It's not the same talent pool, but at the end of the day, they don't have the stuff that we had. You can't put them
well first of all, you shouldn't be calling anybody out of their name under any circumstance.
right.
Second of all, kids shouldn't be. attack personally from a personal standpoint,
Standpoint, yeah,
where the attacks are coming off. Now, what I will say, criticizing a team's performance is a part of the game. And like I said, when it comes to preparing you for life and life, whether it's a job, whatever, you're going
right,
to be critiqued. You're going to be
yeah,
critiqued, and your performance is going to be criticized. And so, what you can do, you either take that criticism and get better, or
better,
or you fold. So
yeah.
some people get some criticism of a team's performance and is fair game as long as the
But
criticism
in
is not personal.
individual bashing, as far as kids, I can't, you know.
Well, let me tell you something. Larry Harrell told me, and I don't think Larry mind me sharing this. His brother Keith is our classmate.
Yeah,
Larry's son used to be a receiver, a very good receiver on the team. And one thing that Larry said, even when it comes to his son, he told me this to my face. He said, I understand it's part of the game. He said if you criticize my son's performance, and I'm not talking about taking personal shots, but let's say if he had 4 drops in the game, and you're saying like, man, you got to catch that. He said
yeah,
that doesn't. If my he said my son dropped a wide open pass, and someone says, man, you got to catch that. You're wide open. He said that doesn't bother me. He said because I'm going to be screaming it too. I'm going to say, son, you got to catch that. He said as soon as
yeah.
he get off the bus and get in my car, he said I'm going to criticize him, tell him, son, you got to catch that. He said, now don't be sitting there calling my son an SOB or calling him out of his name or attack
Dang,
or call. Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah.
like.
Or,
I'm
or
not.
if you, right.
Yeah,
Or if you call him stupid or something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's out of line. That's out of line. But
That's what
just
I'm
but it's
saying. Yeah,
right. But as far as saying that, if you're saying that, hey man, he shouldn't have dropped that, he was wide open. I don't see what the problem is about that because you're not taking a personal shot at him. And now if you're saying that he's stupid, why would they keep that idiot in there? Now you're getting out of line.
fine. Yeah, that's the part I'm getting at. Like, the far as like, oh, you dropped the catch, you got to catch those. That's part of it. I get that. That's 100% agreeable. You can't argue that because and that's criticism. You either gonna get better or you gonna fold, like you said.
Right.
But as far
Criticism comes
as
with life.
SOB, yeah. But calling kids SOBs and stuff
Well, let me
stupid and stuff.
let me ask you something. Have you heard people and from a widespread from a widespread outlet saying things like that?
Yeah, I have. And it's
And
not.
you,
And yeah, I don't agree with it. So I've heard people. I'm not gonna call names. I've heard people and seen people put it out there. I'm just gonna leave
like
it
on
at that.
like on
Yeah.
Facebook or something?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
that's not the place to do that
Do that.
anyway.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that's
I'm saying it from a standpoint as I am a parent, so I can see what some parents are saying that don't say that to my kid. Like, I get the part of the sport that you're gonna get criticized. Yeah, that's part of it. But don't go out here and call my kids stupid or out of their name that I didn't name them. You
yeah.
know,
Well, of course you shouldn't do that. That's
'cause then you gonna
that's
get
common
me.
courtesy.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't call someone's kid stupid.
yeah,
Yeah, now if now stupid is one thing. If I say that somebody did something, if I say this team is undisciplined, I think that's fair game.
that's fair. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that. That's fair.
Right, right. That's fair game. I'm about to say for example, when a guy got a wide open alley to the end zone, he's by himself and he's 10 yards ahead of the next man to him, and then somebody runs and hit an illegal blindside block on somebody nowhere near the play. That's
Yeah,
undisciplined. And if
that's
someone said like,
undisciplined.
right, and then now and not calling the guy stupid, if someone said that's a dumb penalty to get, that's
That's
fair.
that's fair.
You're not calling the guy dumb. You're saying the
The play
action
is
that was
done.
made.
Yeah,
Right.
it was
I
done.
think
Yeah,
to me that's fair game.
yeah, that's fair.
Right.
But when I'm
Not
saying, you get what I'm saying. Like, as far as
yeah.
the person, like, let's just say for a scenario that if I had a son and he was out there and I was sitting around and somebody was like, "That stupid son of a bitch," I'm just gonna say it like that.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. That's out of
that's,
line. That's out of
yeah,
line.
it's out of line. You can't do. Now, if people are like, "Oh man, dang, that's a dumb play. That's a dumb penalty. You shouldn't have done that." Cool. I'm with that.
Hey.
That's the difference.
Well, you sound like Mike Gundy. He's just a kid.
He's just a
If you want
kid.
to come after somebody, come after
Not
me.
me.
I'm a man. I'm
I'm
40.
I gotta get that chopped up because I was gonna put that on here today. I can't get it chopped up like I wanted to. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
I sent it to you.
Yeah,
The Mike
that's the one I
Gundy.
got. Too. I was trying to get that part where he's like, "Come at me, I'm a man.
I'm
I got
40.
come forward."
Yeah, so I mean, but one thing I'll say, a lot of the, and I'm not excusing it, but when you're losing, you see the worst in your fan base. A lot of times, a lot of them not even there at the games. So,
Yeah,
and a lot of things, obnoxious fans are in every fan base. Anson Senior got them. Richmond Senior got it. It's just that Richmond Senior wins a lot more. Um,
yeah,
but every fan base, especially fan base for football, is one of the premier sports and a program that's had success. You have obnoxious fans. If you go to a Carolina Panthers game, you're gonna have obnoxious fans. You go to a UNC Charlotte game, you're gonna have obnoxious fans. That's nothing new. I'm not telling anyone to condone their child being disrespected or being or their child being called out of their name. But on the flip side, and when you're going to a football game, there's a good chance you're gonna hear something you don't want to hear.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, yeah,
yeah,
that's just part of it, you know. And
yeah.
like I said,
That doesn't make it okay, but
no,
it's something that you got to be prepared for. It's
yeah,
something that you got to be prepared for, and you have to pick your battles. I'm about to say you can't let it get to you to the point where you're going to try to pick a fight with every individual who says something out of line. If someone says something that's out of line that's against NCHSAA guidelines, if they get caught, then school personnel will remove them from the stadium.
for the game, yeah,
So if there's someone that if you're hearing someone saying threatening things or things that are personal or things that fall in line with the attacks that aren't allowed by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, that's where you need to reach out to school personnel and say, hey, this person is crossing the line, and they could either tell the person to stop, and if they don't stop, then they could be removed from the game. But you can't sit there every time you hear someone say something bad. You gotta find them and pick a fight with them. If you do that, you're not even going to have any peace. And when you do that, then they win because you've allowed them to get
they
under your
can get in
skin.
your head, yeah, that's true,
Yeah. And
that's
at
true.
that point, and granted, I'm not a parent, so I can't tell a parent how to feel when they hear things being said about a child. But I can't. But so I'm not going to tell you how to feel. But at the same time, you can't allow people to get under your skin, and that's
That's
what you're doing. That's what you're doing when that happens. So that means trolls are everywhere, especially on Facebook and all that. If you can't get caught up with engaging with trolls,
true.
because when you engage with a troll, you're the one that's losing your peace, and they've gotten what they've wanted
Yep,
because the troll is there to disturb your peace, and once they've disturbed your peace and interrupted your peace, they've gotten what they wanted.
agree.
And I understand a lot of and I know a lot of mothers or some fathers are able to are able to kind of I'm not gonna say shrug it off, but they know that that's gonna happen, and even though they don't like it, they kind of tune it out sometimes. Whereas I think sometimes, quite naturally, a mother is going to be more sensitive to anything that's pertaining to her child, and I think sometimes it strikes them a little harder, and sometimes that it's to the point where they can allow themselves to get caught up in the emotion of it all, and and at some point you have to say trolls are going to be trolls,
Yeah,
and you can't every time a troll appears get caught up in it.
that's true. Yeah, but again, like I said,
And I agree with what Wendell said. Criticism is one thing, so is tough love, not degrading statements. Right? You can't degrade young men, but tough love is fine. And
yeah, tough love, yeah, that's part of it, man. And like I said, I get the tough love, that's cool, but the other stuff,
right,
no, yeah,
yeah. But the thing is now it's so tough to where even tough love is tough to do because we're in a situation now where we're in a society now to where that environment has always been a hard nosed environment. It's always been that tough love environment where you're taking boys and you're trying to mold them into young men. But
yeah,
now we're in a society now, and I know this is not the same thing, but we're in a society where you have so many young men where people expect them to be coddled now, and
mm,
and we live in an era of entitlement. And this is not specific to Anson. This is just in general.
general,
And
yeah,
so I feel sorry. I know it's tough for coaches these days because they have to balance between showing that tough love and not getting complaints filed against them and
yeah,
that kind of stuff too. So it's one of those things.
yeah,
I feel like there are things that maybe I'm just going to say Coach Kreger may have said 20 years ago
he would
that
have
that,
to do.
that if he said it in 2021, Anson, um, he would be long gone. And I think Coach Kreger is a great coach, so I'm just using him as an example because I know
And
he's a
and
fiery
and,
guy.
and, I- and with that, when you said that, like I said, I guess it's just the fact that how we came up. That was normal. It's very normal.
Well, just like any of us who even had our fathers in the house. I know
Yeah,
my dad died. My dad died when I was 7 years old. But my point was when he was living,
Yeah.
My daddy was a pastor and a retired military veteran. He was a retired naval veteran. He was a no nonsense kind of guy. I know your
Right.
dad. Your dad's a good dude, but I know he don't take no BS. I know
Right.
Mister D. I was calling him that.
Yeah.
He, he, I know that he didn't take no mess and a good man. I'm sure growing up he's a loving father to you. I've
Right.
witnessed some of it hanging around you, and
Right.
even to this day I know you and him are very close. But I'm
Mhm.
sure that you'll be the first one to tell you that he didn't take any mess. And
That's right.
there are certain things that you couldn't say or do in his house.
There you go.
And but now it seems a little different. So even now, even in your homes, like I always tell people this. People say last night they were joking. The announcer was asking he's like, raise your hand if you ever been at ISS under Mister Whatever, and a lot of people raised their hand. I said, no, I've never been to ISS. I said, you know why? I wasn't scared of the principal. I wasn't scared of the teacher or the person who was over ISS. If I ended up at ISS, I'd have been too dang on scared to go home and tell my
So,
mom. Even after my dad died, I'm saying I'd have been way too scared to go home, and because I know it's gonna be 10 times worse when I got home if I ended up getting in trouble and getting an
I
ISS at school.
I wasn't scared to go to ISIS. I was more scared to get OSS. That was more my because I knew
Mm.
if I got ISIS, then they were gonna tell me, oh well, you better go. But if I got OSS, I would have to deal with that the whole time I was at the house. So you know,
Yeah.
again, like I said, man, it's different. The way we came up is 100% different than the kids are coming up now. But I'm trying to instill that into my child, what I've learned. She understands when it's not like, cause now I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna go ahead and get off the script with that, cause let's just be 100%. Parents now are and kids are best friends now. That's just how the modern era is, and that's what it is. And
Yeah.
and I'm not don't get it twisted. I love my kids. I'm a parent though. I have to make sure that she understands what's not right and what's
Yeah, she
right.
not your home. She ain't your home girl. She your daughter.
No, she's my daughter. I'm gonna love her regardless. I'm not gonna be your best friend like most parents are to their kids.
Right.
But
When
that's
she
not
gets
how it was for
when
me.
right when she's 25, you're not gonna be out at the club partying with her.
No, no,
Right.
no. You did, like I said, you do that on your own time. That's you grown. But again, as right now as a kid, she understands when something's wrong. She knows not to do it. It's not a joke. Most kids joke and they get away with it. So now it's just like the parents not go, oh, it's okay, Nah, we don't do that. I'm stern, but I'm not evil, but I'm putting she knows when she done something wrong. And I tell her. And she feels, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But then she understands that I won't do that again
Right.
because it's not right. But most parents today don't do that. They let them do it. Oh, it's okay. Things happen.
When
Blah blah.
a lot of folks had their kids so, and from our era had their kids so young.
Yeah.
We got people in our age range, and I don't care. We're both 33. We got
Yeah.
people in our age range who got 14 and 15-year-old kids and 16-year-old kids. So you can
Mhm.
say that they kind of grew up together.
Exactly.
There's a at one point, like if you're 16 when you have a kid, you're still a kid too. So
Your
so,
friends.
so it's like it's a kid, like you know how old people say babies having babies. It's like
Yep.
it's a kid raising a kid. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so and I think that's where that dynamic comes through. And it's weird, like when we see people that we went to school with, and they got kids in high school now. And it's like,
Mhm.
wow.
And it's just the fact that it's. Now I'm not gonna say everybody's like that because some people actually I've seen some of them that we went to school and they got their kids are pretty in line. I will say
Yep.
that it's not a lot of them, but again, when like you said, when you're young, you have a kid, you basically don't know life yet. You still learning. You still a baby yourself. So
Right.
again, like you said, you growing up together. It's just like being best friends. I'm gonna go to the club with my kid. No, I'm not doing that. I
Right.
can't, cause that's showing me that I'm my child's best friend instead of her parent.
Right. And that sends the wrong message. The crazy thing about it, Ric Flair, he
Mm-hmm.
said this about his son Reed, and he said his biggest regret with his son, the one that died. He said instead of being his dad, I was trying to be his best friend.
Best
And he said
friend.
he said that's something I wish that I could do over again.
And see, I feel I understand. And in his case, I get what he's saying. And he regrets, but I feel like he was just trying to make up for time that It
Yeah,
all depends he was out and whatnot. But
yeah,
again, it is what it is with that. But I had to speak that out because I wanted to make sure that was clear that you know how we were raised is a lot different than most kids raised now. But everybody's gonna raise kids different. I'm just going by the book that I was brought up by. So I got to go by that book because that book got me. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm doing okay for myself. So if that worked for me, I feel like it can work for her. I had to put my touch on it, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, let's get off of that. Let's go on to this basketball. Lakers finished the preseason with a goose egg at the front and a four at the back. So
yeah.
getting
I
ready
don't
to
like that.
yeah, getting ready to kick off Tuesday, if I'm not
I thought
mistaken.
it,
Is it
I thought
Tuesday?
I thought they played 6 preseason games, but anyway, I know that what, but they lost all of them.
Yeah,
I don't like that, and I know it's preseason; it doesn't count, but still, you're
that's not
trying
good.
to, you're still trying to get, and you're still trying to establish a rhythm, and we're trying to. You got a lot of new pieces. You're trying to establish a rhythm, so the objective to be should be if you lose the first couple of games, that's fine. But those last two, you would have thought you'd have been trying to win to kind of like in the third preseason game of an NFL game, that was dress
Yeah,
rehearsals. You'd have been trying to kind of get your rotation and everything together to get yourself in rhythm to hit the ground running because you
right,
don't want to start the season out of rhythm. Let's say you're starting off a regular season game at Portland. That's going to be a tough game anyway on the road. You want to kind of start having your rhythm. You want to establish that rhythm in the preseason to get people in sync. But
right.
instead, they treated it. It seemed like they just treated it just like it was practice. And shout out to Allen Iverson. It sounded like they treated it just like it was just practice. And sometimes that's how you form bad habits when you're just like when the objective is not to try to win or put your best performance out. You're just kind of going through the motions, and that can lead to a slow start. When you got a bunch of new pieces like that, you need to establish a rhythm and establish some continuity. So I think, of course, overall they'll be okay, but you still you can't just take those games lightly and just throw them away and not even try to compete. So I didn't like that at all.
No, I didn't either. And let me tell you something, man. I don't know how they gonna hit the ground running, but from what I seen, I ain't. Everybody said, "Oh, this is a championship made team," but I ain't seen it yet. So,
Yeah, it's still
now I'm a Lakers
well,
fan.
you
So.
you you already know what I say. You still got to play the
Play the
games.
games exactly. And the games that I've seen them play, it's not showing me. It's not showing me nothing more than that.
Yeah, I mean we'll see what happens. I mean I don't want to write a team off in October, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm not gonna write them off. I'm just more so of the fact that this chemistry, it ain't. Well, it's got to click. I mean, I know it's early. Maybe it will click, but I'm gonna take the X factor out of it, which is Westbrook. Anthony Davis didn't look good at all.
One, they're probably he stays hurt all the time, so they're probably trying to be gentle with him.
Yeah,
So, and that's typically how you get hurt when you're trying to avoid getting hurt. So,
mm, yeah,
I mean, I don't think I can say is we'll see.
yeah. I mean, LeBron gonna have to. I know he's gonna be pushing the minutes. Well, he pushed the minutes every year, so he got to push the minutes this year. I know Westbrook can push them as well, but I don't know which Westbrook you're gonna get. You'll get one Westbrook, which is he's gonna have a real good game, or you're gonna have that Westbrook that's gonna give you about 9 or 10 turnovers itself. Don't know. Just we have to wait and see. I'm starting Tuesday,
Well,
so
well, like I said, as many interests we have, it's probably good to have him because with Anthony, when as much as Anthony Davis get hurt, you
hurt.
got another option to go to in case there's an injury, or if LeBron gets hurt, you still got a
I
guy you
feel
can
like
go to.
it's still a piece that they could get somewhere down the line. I feel
Well, they
like
got
that.
a. Well, you're hoping guys like Horton Tucker and Kendrick Nunn was a nice pickup. If they, I know Horton Tucker's hurt for the beginning of the season, but you got a guy like
Season,
Kendrick Nunn who's a very good player for the Heat, only 25, 26 years old. That's a guy that you're hoping could fit in well with us. But I'm so scared they're so fixated on using all those old people they signed. That's what
yeah.
worries me.
And, and the
The
White
lack
is
of
not
youth.
gonna be the same the White it was the year in the bubble. So let's just get
Well, I
that.
mean, he was just a role player then. I mean, he's not
Yeah,
a. I mean, you wouldn't expect at this stage of his career. I mean, whatever you get out of him, just some decent minutes on the glass. He's not a guy that you're expecting to be a
yeah.
cornerstone.
Yeah.
You
Him
you
and
brought in
McGee was. I think McGee was. Well, McGee
Hmm.
had a good year. He was okay.
Yeah. All
But,
right.
but again, like I said, I feel like it'll work itself out. Like I said, it's gonna start slow. I already know that. So I'm not even gonna beat myself across the head about dang why we can't win these games. But it's gonna be those LeBron lovers out there. Oh man, LeBron did this part out there, but we still lost.
Yeah, LeBron has some fans that where no matter what he does is perfect. It's kind of like AEW wrestling fans. Like whatever he does is perfect, and it's like flawless. And he's a great player. I take nothing away from him, but
Yeah, yeah, he's a
that
good player,
yeah,
but
but he's a
it's
great
a team. At the end of the day, it's a team sport. So wins
yeah.
or
He's
losses.
he's a great player. I'm not gonna let you get by saying he's a good player. He's a great player, but at the same time, it's not like he's above reproach. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, I didn't say it was. I'm saying like he's good. I'm not saying like he's bad. I'm saying like he's
Right.
up there in the top. Like he is.
Yeah.
When I say good, I'm not saying like belittle him. I'm saying he's up there. That's why I'm
Right.
saying good. But what I'm saying is, the fans are gonna be like, oh yeah, LeBron had 45 points, but we still lost by 5.
Yep. And
It's a
it's
team
that's why
sport
he
at
said.
the end of the day.
Yep. And
LeBron
it's
just
about
scored
win.
100, and the other team scored 101. Guess what?
Still lost the game.
There you go. That's how I put it. But you can't
I
tell.
agree.
You can't tell. I can't say that word on national TV. Those LeBron S words. Uh,
Yeah. On LeBron DRs.
yeah,
DR.
DR.
Yeah.
Yeah, used to be bandwagoners, but now it's DR.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about the doctor, and I'm not talking about Dominican Republic, but
You figure it out. You figure it
yeah. You know what a DR is.
out. Yeah, you know what
I
DR.
bet you. No, but you know what a DR is. What you laughing about?
Man, I heard you say it.
The song. The song.
Yeah, I heard it. We ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that.
Nah, but don't play that song. I
No,
bet
I ain't gonna play. I ain't gonna
you.
play. I won't do it. I can't
I
do
bet.
it. No, we ain't gonna do that. But
I need a rider.
like like I said though, I don't know. The NBA is gonna be it's gonna be interesting this year with four With I thought, like you said, I thought it was 6 preseason games, but obviously it was just four.
Oh well, whatever.
Yeah, well, that's what I said too. Yeah, what it is. We start Tuesday, so you
Yep,
know.
yep. I guess the Lakers gonna be on at 10:30. So
Oh yeah, it is. And damn, it's Tuesday night. I wish it was Monday night. I gotta go work Wednesday morning. Because if it was Monday night, I'd be like, hell yeah, I can stay up and watch the game all night.
yep, yep. You see, I'm getting relaxed.
What did it say? The X to the Z.
You do like exhibit with that. Like you want to pimp
Yeah,
my ride.
look, hold on. Let me put it out there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you sure do.
yeah. What you see is what you get, Trey. You see- what you see is what you get.
Hey, let's check out Nick's ride right here.
Yeah,
So
let's check out this
we got this 1987 Pontiac GT right here. The door is about to fall over here, but we're gonna hook him up. My man at West Coast Customs is gonna hook him up.
I was like, when I started seeing them stories about how people
Yeah,
repair the cars,
did you read like the real stories, like what's really going on and stuff?
I seen the
It was
whole
like,
documentary. Somebody did an actual was a whole documentary. I read the stories too, how the
yeah,
people would get in the cars and they would make these stories up for them. Some of these people actually didn't have these problems that they put on camera.
yeah. Then a lot of it, like they would take them 3 or 4 months to get done with the car, and there were issues with it. It just looked different cosmetically. It was a lot
Yeah.
of BS with that show.
Well, you got it's MTV.
Yeah, like on MTV Cribs, a lot of them rappers, those are rented houses that they didn't even live in. They would just rent them for the show.
Yeah. All the one I can say, well, I even with
Red
that one,
Man,
yeah, Red.
hey,
Well, Red
Red Man
Man was
kept
the only
he
one that
kept it
had
real.
the
He Red Man, yeah, that thing raggedy. Red Man kept it real. Like, man, we living better than Red Man, man. Like, dang.
I think Redman didn't. You know what? And it's funny now I think about it, like Redman was being smart with his money. Because
Yep.
if he was making the money, he just like fuck it, I'm gonna get an apartment. But
And he
I
was just
need to get
chilling.
out. Yeah,
It's just him chilling. And if he was happy with it, I didn't
yeah,
Staten Island. Like, if he was comfortable and he was happy, then so be it, man. He just kept it real. And he
yeah.
probably He
He
probably ain't
probably
broke either. I
no,
doubt
he
he broke.
that's what I'm saying. So like even 50 Cent did it. And a lot of people don't know that.
What about that house in Connecticut? Did it Mike Tyson's old house?
He bought that house after he dropped what was the second album?
The massacre.
Yeah, he bought that after the massacre, but when he was when he got all that money for Get Rich or Die Trying, he stayed in a 2 bedroom apartment paying $800 a month. And people don't know that.
Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah. I just read that story last week. And when they were telling how 50 became from bankrupt, he went bankrupt and then he became one of the multi mogul after he went bankrupt.
Yeah,
But
we
I know
filed
why
bank.
he did the bankrupt thing.
Well,
That
the
was
last time, he filed bankruptcy about 10 years ago, but that time he owed some. He had been sued. He had lost some civil settlements, some lawsuits. I think he
yeah.
just didn't want to pay that. He just didn't want to pay that money.
Yeah, that's what it was. He filed bankruptcy, but he wasn't really broke. You can
Well,
actually file bankruptcy and not be broke.
of course, I'm about to explain that. A lot of people think when you file bankruptcy, you don't have any money. That's not what that means. You can still
Mm-hmm.
have millions of dollars in the bank and file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is protection when you have so much debt and you're
Mm-hmm.
claiming that you're unable to pay that debt. You can file bankruptcy protection, and then that way
Yeah.
you can reach an agreement like little smaller payment plans, whatever the case may be, where it's not like you have to pay all that debt at once. You could either sometimes you might not have to pay the whole debt, or you could pay a small portion of it. That type of thing. It's a settlement where you come out much cheaper, but for 7 years your credit is effed up.
Right.
But if you're a millionaire, you don't really your credit ain't really that much of an issue when you got millions of dollars. You can buy stuff cash. So you come
Mm-hmm.
out and in 7 years your credit back good again. For someone like that, it makes sense. It's to do that. Trump has done it. Like I said, 50
Yep.
Cent did it. A lot
Yep.
of business moguls have done it. A
Yeah.
person like me, like people like us, it wouldn't make sense to do because we if our credit up and we can't buy nothing.
Yeah.
But people with money like that, it makes sense for them. They're just taking advantage of the rules. But people
Yeah.
think that means they don't have any money. Bankruptcy has
Yeah.
nothing.
We get
Bankruptcy ain't
money.
about not having money. It's about your debt. That's what it's
Yeah.
about.
It's
It's a
about
settlement for your debt.
credited debt. That's what
Yeah.
bankruptcy is basically credited debt. So when the people look at it, oh man, he ain't got no money. No, he's got plenty of money.
Nah.
He's just
Even
using
when
that
yeah. And
because of the debt.
most of these folks like that file bankruptcy. I'm talking about these millionaires, superstars stuff. They got plenty of assets. Like even Ric Flair. Ric Flair got
Yeah.
plenty of money. He just got a lot of debt,
Debt. Yeah. Now from divorces and lawsuits and
child support and all that. And
course, yeah,
he's still got like a net worth of like 5 million. Some of that might be in properties and stuff. But
property.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he still got a net worth of 5 million. I probably is Ric Flair not going to DSS trying to get his light bill paid.
No. No.
He not calling Duke Power trying to get his lights turned back on. I can tell you that right now.
No. Ric Flair can get money anytime he feels like he's not
Right, because
broke.
he can make an appearance. A guy like that can make an appearance, like an autograph appearance, and get $200,000 just for showing up.
Shit, he just go on the episode of Raw and get paid. Or
Right,
whatever. This his face alone is like his face
right,
card alone is
right.
money.
He can make like 5 appearances and make more money than we'll make in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And that's how it is. Like he's not worrying for money.
Yeah, he can go to meet and greets, do autograph signings, and make money, make $100,000 just in a day just doing autograph signings.
The man had more divorces than anybody I could think of in the common era.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He used to get it
Yeah.
in and get around.
Did you watch the I don't know if you watched do you watch the Dark Side of the Ring?
I didn't watch the one that you're talking about, but him in the airplane and stuff. But I mean, I've watched the
Yeah.
show before.
Yeah, I watched that one I think about 2 weeks ago. I
I
watched
haven't
it.
watched Dark. I haven't watched Dark Side in over a year.
Yeah, and they got some good episodes on there now. I've been watching I watched all of I think it's like season 3 now. So I
Yeah,
watched it with damn, what was my man's name? That used to wrestle with Stone Cold.
Brian
Uh
Pillman.
Brian Pillman's. I watched the what was it, XPW.
I was thinking about Brian Pillman when Stone Cold came to his house and he pulled that gun out, so I would kill you, mother.
When the TV went blank.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow.
I was like, oh she shot him. And then it came back and it was like pulling him out the house or something.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Then remember when he was in the yard fighting them dudes? He threw that dude that
Yeah, yeah.
that black dude. Ugh. He's like,
Then they tried to redo that with Triple H and Randy Orton, which after Triple H had punted, I mean after Randy Orton had punted Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H came back and he tried to break in Randy Orton's house and all that. I'm like, it won't the same when they tried to do
it's
it with
not
Triple
the
H and Randy
same.
Orton.
When Stone Cold did it, all of it was originals. Like nobody's ever did it.
Yeah,
Even when Stone Cold used to destroy all Vince McMahon's cars or run over the Rock's cars,
yeah,
or flip Triple H in a car. It was just his
man.
story. His promos were probably you ain't gonna see nobody else do promos like that and say
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
original. I mean, if they
right.
do. They copied the pattern from him. He's the blueprint.
That's
Anything
it.
of that wild magnitude in the raw, I mean, in the attitude there was Stone Cold pretty much.
Give me a
He
hell
made that
yeah.
what it was. I can't take that away. That Stone Cold, that was his. When they now I look at it now, because how they used to point it, it was like, oh, they I forgot who they would put Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart like the faces, but nah. Even during the Monday Night Wars, I think Stone Cold was he pretty much carried that on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't argue with that. Let's see, check this. When the Lakers hit the court Friday, we're gonna see a different team. I hope so.
I hope you're right, man.
And he's a Lakers fan too. I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, man,
I,
I
I
hope you're right. I hope you're right like hell, man.
I am hoping you're right. Like I want my team to win another ring. I don't like tying up with that team up there in
In
Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, I don't like I don't
Well,
like the fact that
we're behind them, so.
yeah, I don't like the fact that we tied up
Was
with
it?
them.
The Celtics won most of those in the '60s with Bill Russell and stuff.
Yeah, the '60s, the recent the runs that they had in the '80s, and then that one
Yeah,
that
then
they
they got that one in '08. The
had
Lakers have won the Lakers have been to the finals in every decade and won a championship in like all but one decade. I know the
the
Lakers won
'90s,
one was '70s, '80s. They didn't win one in '90s, but they got
'90s.
to the finals in '91.
Yeah,
They won three in the 2000s. Then in 2000, well, in 2000 they won four because they won 2000, 2001, and
mm,
2002, and then again in 2009. Then they got the one in 2010,
10,
and
yeah,
I guess 2020. No,
20,
yeah,
yeah,
2000,
2020,
2020. Yeah,
yeah,
about a year ago because they played the finals in October
the
because of
pandemic,
COVID suspended. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The final go back to an 82 game season this year.
Ooh, thank God.
Yeah, yeah. They still
Oh,
got
they
that
ain't got
little.
that stupid. They
Yeah, they got
still.
it. They
Ah,
doing it this year. I know it's that play-in tournament is stupid. Yeah, I know. There's no need for it in the 82 game season if everybody's playing. But
yeah,
Adam Silver,
that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so last year when they played 70, 72, 73.
72, 72.
Okay, yeah, that was okay. You did it at one time. 82, you don't need it. If you can't
Right.
get the job done in 82 games, you
You
don't
don't
deserve to
deserve to be
go.
there. Exactly. Exactly.
You don't deserve to go.
And the
And
ninth and the tenth and the ninth and the 10th team shouldn't be rewarded with an opportunity to get to the playoffs. If you play 82
yeah,
games, you finish 10th, then your ass need to be at home.
exactly. That's what we been. That's what they've been at for the last 75 years, or
Right.
76, or 74.
I got what you mean, but
Three.
yeah,
Yeah. So the Nets gonna trade to keep Kyrie. Allegedly they're
they
keeping him.
they're keeping it. Who the hell want him? I'm about to say you don't know if you because I mean, yeah, I'm about to say who wants him. He's
Listen, I'm gonna
talent.
tell y'all something.
He's
He's gonna
talented, but
play. That y'all they worrying about letting. He's gonna play.
I
Just
don't
watch.
know, man. He ain't got this. He ain't right in the head.
Nah, he ain't right, but
He he.
they gonna figure a way to get him to play.
I don't know,
And
man.
it's more the organization than it is. This thing is more the city than it is the organization. The
Right,
people
New
don't
York City.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
New
New
York
York
City
City.
got it. Right, and Brooklyn's a part of New York City, so
City. Yeah.
and, and you can't play at the sports venues if you're not vaccinated. That's not the Nets have nothing to do with that.
No, it's the
And
city. It's the city of New
right,
York.
and he's made the choice not to get it, so that's his choice, and that's the consequence of his choice. No matter how you feel about the vaccination, his employer, well, not even his employer, the city in which he's employed,
What
has
from
said
you?
this is mandated, and if you don't comply with it, this is the consequence. He's not
Right.
going to jail. He's not been arrested or anything like that. So and no one's forcing him to do anything. He has the right not to take it. He's exercised his right not to take it,
Yep.
and as a result of that, he's not going to be able to work for his employer.
There it is. That's as simple as you can put it.
Yep,
But I
nothing more,
mean,
nothing less.
yep. He won't get to play home games, but Right.
they're not even gonna let him. They deactivated him altogether. He ain't playing at all.
Okay. Okay.
They deactivated him. They said until he becomes fully available to play, then he'll be deactivated. And they're not going to sign him to an extension anymore. They rescinded their offer to an extension.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I think I seen that Thursday.
Yeah.
About
So
that.
I mean, he made his choice and they're making theirs. They got a right to make their choice based on the choice
Yeah.
that he made.
Yeah. I mean, they can't do nothing about it. If the state is saying you have to be vaccinated in order to
Even
participate in
even
those.
and even going back to the Cam thing, I'm about to say, he not doing himself any favors by not getting it either. So, and don't get me wrong, he ain't required. He don't have to get it, but at the same time, I mean, the results are what they are. So, I mean, if you make choices. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like an employer or whatever has the right to make their choice based on the choices you make.
Right. Trey, you still in here? I gotta show him something. Wait, Trey, just type in the chat if you're still in here. I got to show you two little items I picked up. But again, I mean, like you said, he got to sit that out. He can get the extension. Hope he got his money saved up. It is what it is.
I mean, he make like 30 million a year. I don't think he hurting for no money. So.
Nah. Oh, he's still in here. Look what I got. Found them both the other day. I think you see it. It's the only pack in the collection. I think it was only two in there. So I got both of them in the same spot. The last two. White Man Can't Jump. One of my favorite movies. I'm gonna go to my car. I'm gonna get my gun. Shoot
Yeah,
it.
I'm just.
That's what he said on the movie. I'm not saying that personally.
I was like, okay.
Nah, that's what the guy said on White Man Can't Jump when they beat him in that game. He's like, I'm gonna go to my car. I'm gonna get
I ain't
my
seen that
gun.
movie in so long.
That was a funny movie. I was like, when I seen it, I was like, oh shit, I can have this in my collection. I'm starting to collect these little things now. Man, I did not know. I got to looking at the value of these things. I was like, shit, these motherfuckers worth more than money. But it is what it is with that. So I'm trying to collect as many as I can. Start a collection of Funko Pops. So I got a few of them behind me anyway. I know most of y'all see them. I do reviews on them from here to here. I got some Harlem Globetrotter ones, and Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. But anyway, I don't know that. Uh, again, I hope the Lakers do pull it out. Hope they have a good season. We'll see as these 82 games go on. I hope they don't get in the situation that they did last year to get in the fucking play in.
Yeah, with those injuries, that's when you. And now that you got an older team, you're
Yeah,
susceptible. You're more susceptible to those type of injuries. So,
yeah,
We'll see what happens, man.
yeah. I say I know it's gonna be a slow start, and that's what it usually is. So even when LeBron first got to LA, it was a slow start. Picked up, he got hurt around Christmas, so that kind of derailed it a little bit. But they were a playoff team before.
He got
Uh,
hurt. Yeah.
yeah. So like I said, it'll work itself out. They just got to play the role. Westbrook is gonna have to learn how to play his role at points of time in the game. He can't just go and do what he done in Washington and Oklahoma, and you know he's gonna have to
Well,
learn how to.
some of the time Oklahoma they didn't had nothing but him.
Well, yeah, that too.
So I mean, he kind of had to over there. But he's. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not. I mean, his role's gonna be different anyway because James is gonna be handling the ball. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it'll work itself out. As I said, I believe LeBron can make it. He can make it happen because
yeah, LeBron love playing with other stars.
he's
So
made he's made chicken salad out of chicken shit before. So I
yeah,
can.
but and he also have but this year not the situation. You got two star players with him like he always has with him. So in the second
Yeah,
half of his career, so now he's an
yeah,
opportunist now. I mean, he's gonna
hey,
always have the cards loaded in his favor as far as level of stars with him. He's a guy that always recruiting other major stars to play with him. So let's. I mean,
yeah,
we know in his first time in Cleveland when he first, yeah, it was kind of like that. But in that After from
Yeah,
the Miami years on, he's always stacking the cards in his favor.
hard
So
to, yeah. I
yeah,
speak this from the year they lost, got swept by the Spurs the first time in
yeah,
oh seven.
yeah, that was like a Cinderella that they
Bro,
even got there.
yeah, yeah. So he, like I said, they turned chicken shit into chicken salad, and they got him there. Yeah, I mean they were underdogs anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're just happy to be there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. What did he say? Did you review the AT? No, no, not yet. I'm gonna do that. I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow when I get home from work. I'll definitely do that one. Uh, I hadn't did that yet. I got to get them lined up, but I will do that. We say Magic and Bird had multiple Hall of Famers on the team. It's just going back to loaded teams.
And let me go ahead and counter that.
Yeah, because that's good.
Just let me handle this one by myself because I can go ahead
Oh,
and
you got,
take
you
care of
got,
this.
you got,
Okay.
you got, you got.
Okay. Robert Parrish was never a franchise player or anything. He played with the Golden State Warriors before he played with the Boston Celtics. He was a good player, an excellent player, but he was never the guy like the focal point of any team.
Nah,
Kevin McHale was drafted by the Celtics, and many of those years came off the bench and was just an amazing scorer off the bench. But in the same vein as like Manu Ginobili with Spurs, he
mm,
was never a guy who was the guy on the team. Dennis Johnson was a good player. Was never the guy. He won a championship with the Seattle Sonics. He was a good player, but they didn't. It's not like you had a guy like Dwayne Wade, who was already a previous Finals MVP and a superstar in his own right. A LeBron James, who's a superstar, and then like a Chris Bosh, who was the primary star on a team that had won, that gone to the playoffs with the Toronto Raptors. It's not like you had three guys who were the franchise players on their teams coming together as one. That's not the same thing. It's like even when people like to make those arguments, those were like Bird and McHale were drafted there, and
yeah,
Robert Parrish was acquired via trade. So it's not, and Parrish was never the guy. He was a good player, Hall of Famer, rightfully so. So the thing about it, being a Hall of Famer versus being a franchise player or superstar is not the same thing because you got a lot of marginal players in the Hall of Fame.
Real time.
Um,
What's up,
to,
baby?
Tony Kukoc is in the Hall of Fame for God's sake. Vlade Divac is in the Hall of Fame. So when it comes to basketball, the Hall of Fame doesn't hold much weight because the reason those guys are in the Hall of Fame is because of the success they had with Bird.
Yeah. Ty, what's up, man? He said, but you can't give one praise and the other crap.
Well, I can because it's not an apples to apples comparison. Um, and some of those champions, I know Burden won one of those championships before Mchale. I think Mchale only won two with them. Man, we're
Uh,
talking about a bunch of stuff.
yeah, a bunch of stuff. Chill. We basically went to the black ball in the NFL and talked about college. Went a
Like,
little local, and now we
yeah,
on the
and
NBA.
so even like with the Lakers, when people say when the Lakers had Kareem, Magic, James Worthy, and all that, also when they drafted James Worthy and Magic Johnson. Also, Magic and Kareem had already won two championships before they ever drafted Worthy, and then Worthy won three. They won three more with Worthy. So when you look at that, these are guys that you drafted and they developed, and these were guys who were made better by the stars. Like for example, Magic and Kareem made Worthy a star because they made him better. They benefited from playing with them. Yeah, you can say all stars, but they're all stars as a benefit of playing with that superstars. There's those were guys who were groomed and developed within that program. They're not guys who were already established stars who you went out and recruited to join you. So that's not the same thing. This is or just like with the Kevin Durant thing. When you lose to a team in the Western Conference Finals, they got two stars on it already, and basically because you choked in the West Finals, and then you go sign with them, that's not an apples to apples comparison. When you got Stephen Curry, who's already won back-to-back MVPs, you got Klay Thompson, who's a multi-time first-team All NBA player and first-team All Defensive player as well, and then you go join them after you lost to them to form an
Oh yeah,
unstoppable trio. That's not the same thing. Yeah, Worthy was good in college, of course.
college.
Everybody who, first of all, anybody who's in the NBA was good in college for the most part. I'm talking about about 99% of NBA players were good in college, or they wouldn't be in the NBA in the first place. So so of course, even the guys who are busts, even Jared Dudley was good in college. Jared Dudley was all ACC and all Big East at Boston College. So if we're going to go there, so I mean, anybody, Joe Smith was great in college. Most people who are in the NBA were great in college at some point. At least, and especially in that era. Now they just draft guys with potential. But so yeah, he was great in college. My point was, he was a guy they drafted. James, I put it like this: when after Kareem retired, whatever, James Worthy only played maybe 3 more years, And then after Magic retired, well, I think Worthy may have played a year or two later. Worthy wasn't even a factor after Magic and Kareem retired.
Nah, that's pretty much it then.
And Worthy only played 9 years in the league, and
Yeah,
so those. So I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. Like
yeah, like you said, he was a contributor.
LeBron James ran to Dwayne Wade and brought Chris Bosh with him. Dwayne Wade was already a former Finals MVP.
Yeah,
So that's the point I'm making. So for example, people just like when people say, "Well, Durant, Westbrook, and James Harden played in Oklahoma City together." That's an argument that's false as well because even though they all played together at the time they were there, James Harden hadn't emerged as a star at that time. James Harden was the sixth
he was
man
coming
back
off the
then.
bench, off the bench. Yeah.
Right, right. And all three of those guys were a young core that was
Uh
drafted there.
oh.
Then Harden left and
Chill,
emerged.
chill down. You trying to come up here and talk?
Hey man, well y'all, I ain't gonna stay here all day, so you and him can talk. But uh,
We ain't gotta be long. We gonna be long. Yeah, I think
I'll
they
say
said.
I'll give him credit. He made Daniel Gibson um, look good in a playoff series. Uh, and Mo Williams, I give that Mo Williams. We got to give him that. He did make Mo Williams. He made Mo Williams turn into an All Star. I give him that.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's definitely fair.
I give
I
him.
don't
I
know
give him that.
because I don't know
I
who
give
else.
him that.
Who's all on that team? What's my man with the
But
hair? I
yeah,
can't think of
I'll give him
it.
credit on those first Cleveland teams. Those teams weren't stacked teams, and he was still able to get them to East Finals and stuff. Even got them to a final. So I mean, I still got to give him credit on that. No matter who they played or whatever happened that led up to him, it's not like he was loaded with stars. What bothered me about it is that at the end they had back-to-back 60-win seasons and still didn't get to the finals. So my argument is, if those guys were good enough to win 60 games with and get to the conference finals with, one year they won 66 games, the other year they won 61 games. One of those years they lost to the Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard. Yes, that was unacceptable. And then the next year they lost in the second round to the Celtics when the Celtics were a 4 seed and they were a 1 seed. So when that happens, and then some of those series he didn't play great down the stretch of them. So you still have to. Some of them, now the one against Orlando, he averaged 40 points a game in that series. That's not necessarily on him, but
Yeah,
the one against the Celtics, he choked in that series, and then that was the year after when he went to Miami. So the thing about it, when you're spoken as amongst being when people try to argue that you're the greatest of all time, and your competitive spirit is that weak to where you have to run and recruit all the time, and always trying to avoid competing, but instead having your rivals join you instead of competing. It's hard for me to even put you in consideration as the greatest of all time when you did have success and when you did reach the mountaintop, you were loaded with stars and you recruited or joined.
I agree. um,
Chill time. You can debate with Nick all day, man. I like debating with you too. Just that I've been on here an hour and 47 minutes. So if you want to come on and finish it off, I mean, be my guest, and I'm watching college football.
yeah, I ain't gonna be on here long. I'm gonna damn get me something to eat, and
Me too. But Chill time's a great debater. I'll give him his credit, man. Chill time's
we
one.
gotta get him on a man. You got to come on one of these Thursdays, man. When you got some time.
You know why? You know why I like debating with Chilltown? Because he doesn't put emotion into it. He gives you straight facts, and you have to counter him with facts, and he makes you think. And you got to be on your p's and q's at all time when you debate with Chilltown.
Yeah, you got to. My man know his stuff now. That's why I said it. When people know their sports, I'm willing to debate with you. But again, if you don't know your sports, be careful, cause this one over here to my right, you gonna be in the world. You're gonna be butt
Hey,
hurt.
I knew Chilltown knew stuff when I mentioned Buck Williams, and he knew who I was talking about. Then I knew it was on then.
Yeah, we ain't gonna be up here. We about to get off here really right now. No limit. What's up, man? Oh, he's on the East Coast visiting family. I'll be back on the West next week. Okay, 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 cool,
All
cool.
right. His
Yeah,
sleep
we
gonna be
are.
way off.
Yeah. What they call it? They
That
call it
jet
like a
lagging on him.
Jack, like,
Some
yeah.
something about the West Coast. It makes me wanna ride. Anyway.
Yeah, we gonna bounce up off here. Get the final thoughts. Give you the flow, my brother. You got it.
Hey man, it's we're going into the fall, um, going into the fourth quarter of the year. Just like in any game, whatever you want to play well throughout the game. Fourth quarter is when you close it out. That's the point where you have to finish strong to make sure you lead your team to victory. Same thing in life, man. When the fourth quarter of the year, and no matter how your year started, the year is not over. In this fourth quarter, you have a chance to make whatever right, whatever goals you're trying to achieve this year. There's still time to do it. We're in the fourth quarter. It's time to be clutch. It's time to lock in. It's time to get focused, and let's finish it off strongly.
Amen. I'm gonna say this. If y'all tuned in, I left the link in the description. Definitely go check out channel Chill Time. Sub up to his channel. Also, go over to the trap house tonight, 10 o'clock. We got a heavyweight showdown going down as they continue their 1K sneaker tournament. So definitely go over there and check them out. It's Chaotic Kicks versus I think it's Handsome V tonight at 10 o'clock over at the Trap House 2.0. Y'all go sub up to them. I got their information in the description as well. But it's gonna be a heavyweight showdown. No, I'm not talking about that crap I seen 2 weeks ago, which was a sloppy fight. I don't care how anybody feels about it. Oh yeah, bro. No problem. No problem. Definitely go check them out. They start at 10 o'clock tonight, so y'all definitely pull up to the trap house for the 1K sneaker tournament. We got a heavyweight battle again. Chaotic Kicks versus Handsome V, and it's gonna be a good one, man. This is for $1,000. This is a $1,000 sneaker tournament, so y'all definitely tune in for that heavyweight battle over there tonight. And again, shout out to everybody that pulled up today to check us out going live. We will be back Monday, so definitely tune in at our standard time, 8:30 on Monday. So appreciate y'all for following through. Salutes, man, and y'all be safe and stay away from the Rona. We out.